Fantastic. Well, we're live here at here in Sydney, and the webinar topic today is Getting Passionate, the Best Business Strategy. And the subheading for that is how to make sure you're in love with your business. Now, I know you guys can read that on the screen, but what's interesting about the topic is that we seem to have touched a couple of nerves. And it is often that we go through our lives either working for someone else or working in our own business, and it can be a little bit difficult at times, and we might sometimes get a little bit frustrated with where we're at. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but today is all about how to get in love with your business if you're not already, how to get back in love with your business if you've fallen out of love, and if you haven't got a business yet or you're not sure what it's all about, well then we'll give you some pointers for that too. Now, I'm sure that most of you guys are seasoned GoToWebinar or webinar people, and you know how to use the technology, but just in case, if you'd like to get in touch with me, I'm going to be very focused on my content, so I can't promise I'll get back to you straight away, but if there's an issue such as you can't hear me or something like that, just pop something into the question box and that should come up on my screen. And also, if you've got an absolute burning question, you've also got the hand, which you can probably see there, which will raise your hand and let me know that there's an issue. So the question box and also the hand are the two key ways to get in touch. In fact, just to make sure that we're okay with the question, could I just ask you to type into the question box which city you're currently in, just to make sure that the technology is all working. And while you're doing that, I'll just let you know that if we do happen to have a technology failure, I've got a backup computer going, and if there's any sort of delays on my end, I'll be back online, so don't drop off the call. Great. Well, we've got someone in Melbourne, and we've got North Sydney, and we've got Sydney. Where else have we got? I know we've got some people registered from around the world, so it's mostly Australia so far. Oh, and we've got someone in Adelaide. Fantastic. Great. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you playing with me on that. The other thing that I just would like to suggest to you is that, again, having sat in on a lot of webinars, I know it's tempting to multitask. But if you give yourself the gift of focusing today, I know that you'll get so much more out of what we're going to be talking about. So give yourself that gift, and I'm sure that you won't regret it. Okay. So here's the question. When did you first get bitten by the entrepreneurial bug? And why did you go into business in the very first place? Really interesting questions. And now it could well be that you're incredibly frustrated because running a business can be exhausting and sometimes very, very challenging. We may lose the passion for the industry that we're in, or even end up doing not what we feel we're supposed to do, but then we don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. We don't know what that is. And times like this, we lose a sense of meaning or a sense of purpose, and we can ask ourselves questions like, well, is this all there is? What if I can't change things? And we may also incorrectly conclude that there's something wrong with us, that we're either flawed or broken. Now, everybody wants their ideal life, this whole concept of work-life balance, where we're happy, fulfilled, energized, inspired. We want to feel worthwhile, and we want to have a sense of meaningful contribution. And to achieve this, we've got to have some sort of understanding and clarity around what is it that drives us, and ideally to have a roadmap for the future. There are all sorts of issues that keep entrepreneurs up at night: cash flow, sales, staff issues, just for starters. But if you go a little bit deeper, there are other issues that come up sometimes too, like the fears that plague us, like fear of failure, or sometimes even fear of success, or even, is it all worth it? So you may even be at a stage where you're working in a business and it's a business that you don't enjoy, but you're doing it because you're needing to make money to buy the things that you don't need to impress the people that you don't like. That's a crazy situation to be in. But here's the thing. When you're inspired by what you do, work becomes easy. In fact, when you're truly inspired, your work gives you energy. And so what's the secret to being inspired by what you do? Well, I think that's very personal. I believe it's about designing and building a higher purpose business. I've been in and around business for just shy of 30 years, and in that time I've had one thing that hasn't changed at all: an absolutely insatiable curiosity about business, about what works, what doesn't work, and why people do things. And I calculated that I've probably met tens of thousands of people in that period of time. And in the next 45 to 50 minutes, I'd like to share with you some of the key things that I've learned in that time. I'm also going to be talking from my heart, and I hope you'll bear with my enthusiasm. And sometimes I'll go a little bit quickly, but just bear with me if you would. And at the end, I will also be offering you something very, very special, so please stay tuned in. Today, what we're going to do is to demonstrate how you can bring whatever your passion is into your business. I'll show you how to reignite your inspiration for your business, help you remember why it was you got into business in the first place, fall back in love with your business if you're out of love so that you're inspired by it once again, and find a business that inspires you if you don't have one already. And importantly, tap into the passion and the purpose that will have you so excited you can't wait to get up in the morning and go to your business. I'd also like to show you that business doesn't have to be boring and can be incredibly creative, no matter the industry that you're in. I started off, if I may, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about where I came from so that you can see how I've drawn the conclusions that I have. And I started off a little bit like the Cheshire Cat. There's a story that I love to tell about when Alice in Wonderland met the Cheshire Cat, and I think it was in Alice Through the Looking Glass, and she said to the cat, who was sitting just on top of the signpost, well, which path should I take? Where should I go? And the cat said to Alice, well, where do you want to end up? And Alice said, well, I don't really know. And so the cat said to her, well, then it doesn't really matter which path you take. And that was a little bit what I was like in my early career. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Some people start off, they know they want to be a doctor, a dentist, a plumber, a lawyer, whatever it may be. But I had no idea whatsoever. So I tried lots and lots of things. I tried accountancy, economics, banking. I was even in the army, in the hospitality industry. Fell into recruitment, found I was really good at it. Made a hell of a lot of mistakes along the way. Quite incredible. In fact, I'd say that I've probably made more mistakes than anything. But of course, that's where the learning comes. I fell in love and got married at a very young age. Had 3 boys who are now pretty much grown up, and lots of personal development through that process. But in addition to that, lots of personal development stuff anyway. After a very long absence, I came back to singing and acting, and I was an entrepreneur, I suppose, at heart, right from the early days. And the recruitment job was the key one that I was doing, and it was a very demanding job. It was 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and after 8 years, I was bored with my work, but I stayed for the money. And eventually, I did get to the point where I didn't want to even turn up for work. So I changed environment. I became a partner in a global executive search firm. I had I was on the fast track, and I also had some real dismal failures as well too. Started up my own consulting business with a partner. We built that to 35 staff. And then about 12 years ago, I set out on my own doing consulting, teaching, and continuing to learn. And I became a student of business even more than ever with this insatiable curiosity that I had. And then I combined performing arts with business through a thing that I did, which was called Breakthrough, and was teaching business skills to young entrepreneurs in the music industry. And through that process, started up a global music business. Made a few bad choices and had a few deals go quite sour, and they cost me a great deal in terms of both money and even my health. I felt like a failure, and I felt that I'd let my family down, to be really frank. And at my lowest point, I was very, very close to being clinically depressed. I may well have even been. But my support network and all the work I'd done on myself over the years kicked in, and I got back to basics and looked at my values, looked at what I had a passion for and didn't consider to be work and the things I wanted to do. And a couple of those things were, of course, my family and my performing. And I decided that I was going to bring my passions into my business. And at that stage, I morphed my business so that I became a teacher, a coach, a consultant, sharing what had worked for me and, importantly, what hadn't worked. And I got great results with the clients I worked with. And most importantly, my purpose, my mission, to bring soul to business and business to soul and helping women entrepreneurs to unlock their magnificence really came to the fore. And that's when I started to build, really started to create a higher purpose business. Now that's an interesting concept, higher purpose business. I'd like to just give you a brief explanation. On one level, a higher purpose business is where the business is based around the values and the aspirations of the owner of the business. And you can see that by me bringing my performing arts stuff into my business, that was exactly what I was doing. But more to it than that, of course. My values go well beyond just loving the performing arts. The second aspect of higher purpose business is that the business itself may have a higher purpose. And I'll give you some examples of that very, very shortly, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And at the third level, the business may be operating holistically, so being very aware of its position in the greater world and the place that it plays. And my observations are that the best way to build a successful business is to be sure it serves the owner's higher purpose and their true life's vision. And within this context, work stops being work and simply becomes the way that you want to spend your time. John DeMartini talks about that when he talks about making your vacation your avocation. And if you talk to any successful entrepreneur and you ask them things like, why do they work so hard? They'll say to you, well, I don't consider it to be work. It's just what I do, and I enjoy it. This is one of my favorite quotes. And I think that Richard Branson is somebody to have a look at. And not everything that Richard Branson does is perfect, of course. But sometimes he nails it right on the head. And I think that what he's done here with this quote is to really nail a lot of what higher purpose business is all about, where the boundaries between work and purpose are merging. And more to the point, it's actually quite worthwhile financially, very good for business to have a higher purpose business. Another couple of quick quotes. This is one of my favorites from Leonardo da Vinci. Make your work be in keeping with your purpose. And another one from a lady called Laura Cardone, who's talking about tapping the unrealized potential in all of us, but thinking of meaningful work as an ingredient of a fulfilling life. And when we find our purpose, particularly in serving others, then we can connect to something that goes beyond the bottom line. So again, this is a reflection of what a higher purpose business is all about. This is a model that I created that describes where a lot of people are. In fact, everybody, I think, falls somewhere on this model. Now, down the center, the vertical axis, we've got values. And these are the values of the organization in which you're working. Across the horizontal, we've got ideals, and these are your ideals, your highest ideals in terms of what you value. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got a situation where your soul isn't being fed, your ideals are not being met, and you're not making any money. Not a great position to be in. Often what people will do, and we want to get out of that box as quickly as possible, often what people will where they'll end up is in this top left-hand corner, where they're making the money, but they're actually not fulfilled by it. Whatever they're doing is not helping to feed their soul. In fact, some people call that a job. Maybe it may not be. For a lot of people, their jobs are very, very fulfilling. But typically, when somebody's in this situation, they go to work, do what they have to do, and then their life begins when they finish. So at the end of the day, that's when they go and start their other activities that actually feed their energy. So whether it be windsurfing or macrame or reading or motor car racing, it really doesn't matter what it is. But it all happens outside of work. What many people also do is go down to the bottom right-hand corner. And down there we have a situation where they're doing their passion. They're working and feeding their soul because they're doing things that they absolutely love. However, they're not able to make money. And that's either because they haven't found something that the world wants, that people are prepared to pay for, or they simply have just got a business model that isn't working. They haven't been able to monetize what their passion is. Now, naturally, we want to get up into the top right-hand corner. And that's where not only are we doing the work that feeds our soul and serves our values and our ideals, but we're also able to make money from it. And here's the real conclusion, the really important conclusion that comes out of this. That's a higher purpose business, where you're doing work that feeds your soul and serves your values. And what happens then is that we find on the left-hand side of this particular graph, we've got motivation, where motivation is defined by something that is probably external, something that happens to you that motivates you to take a certain action. More often than not, that's moving away from something that we don't want. So I have to earn the money in order to buy the things that I need to look after my family, for example, or pay the school fees or pay the electricity bill and so on. On the right-hand side, we've got inspiration. And inspiration is very different, because inspiration is something that comes up from within, that bubbles up, that you would do if you didn't get paid for it, as we've seen by the bottom right-hand side. Inspiration is something where you get up in the morning and you grab your hands and you just go, yes, I'm so excited about today because this is what I'm going to be doing. And you get to the end of the day and you go, what a fantastic day that was. And inspiration is something that gives you energy. Ideally, you end up at the end of the day with more energy than when you started, whereas motivation tends to be an energy drainer, and it can be a constant battle to stay motivated. Now, there's nothing wrong with motivation, having said that. It's quite necessary, but inspiration will get you up earlier and keep you going longer. Let's look at this from another point of view. We know that there are a couple of aspects, what you do well and what you love. And we know that a lot of people will take the analysis there and say, if you find something that you love and you do it really well, do that, and you'll have the beginnings of a fantastic business. You'll have the real seed. Well, perhaps, but there's more to it than that, because what we've got there is certainly our passion and purpose, but there's another element as well, and that's, what does the world need? Because it's all very well to have something that you love and do it really well, but if the world doesn't need it, you actually don't have a business. And what you've got in that crossover between what you love and what the world needs is in fact charity. There is a fourth element too. And the fourth element is, what will the world pay for? And this is the really critical one. This is the one that's often missing from this analysis. When we've got the intersection of what the world needs and what the world will pay for, we've got business. When we've got the intersection of what will the world pay for and what do you do well, we've got a career. We still don't have the magic though. And the magic happens right in the middle, in the intersection of all of those four things. And that's where you've got your bliss. I can't stress enough the importance of that bottom one, what the world will pay for, because otherwise you actually don't have a sustainable business. I'm going to quote Richard Branson again, and please don't think I'm in love with Richard, but he does come out with some really good stuff. And again, this is just a reflection of what I said before, that it's not about work and play, it's about living. And that's what a higher purpose business can give you. These two people, Stacey and Jan, wrote a book called Attracting Perfect Customers, and they've also come up with a really, really nice quote which says that we would join a business, either we start the business or join the business, and it exists for a specific purpose or a mission. And those businesses have developed as a result of our needs and our experiences, and they're just tools for fulfilling our missions. Again, an interesting point when we look at it. I'd like to just highlight one of my clients, a lady called Michelle from Melbourne, who runs a business called Three Sweeties, and she's given me permission to tell this story, and I hope she's not embarrassed. But she runs a beautiful business, really, really beautiful. Not only in terms of the products that she develops, but in terms of the way she goes about doing what she does with amazing passion. And she was telling me the story about one of the cooking classes that she was running, and they were teaching people to make cake pops. And in case you don't know what cake pops are, there's a picture on the screen of what they are. The little bits of cake that are beautifully decorated just on the end of a pop, a bit like a lollipop. And there was a lady who came to the cake pop class, and she made the cake pops and then she took them home. And what Michelle didn't know at the time was that that mother had a 4-year-old daughter who was blind. And after the class, she wrote back to Michelle about how her daughter had been feeling the cake pops that she'd made in class when she took them home. And her daughter absolutely loved them and played with them for over an hour, saying that they felt like Braille to her. So the driving ethos behind Michelle's business, well, it's not about making cake. It's about bringing people joy and happiness. And the side benefits, getting to be a part of the milestone celebrations in people's lives and making some money along the way. So it's not just cake baking and decoration. It's a higher purpose business, very definitely. Let me give you another couple of examples. There's a business in America called Tom's, and as you can see, with every pair of shoes that are purchased, Tom's give a pair of new shoes to a child in need. It's a one-for-one deal. So by supporting this business, not only are you supporting Tom's in terms of their endeavours and helping them to make money, but you're doing children in the third world a great deal of good as well. That's clearly an example of a business that has a higher purpose. Is it, the cynical people might say, oh, it's just a commercial play, it's just a good angle. But if you read more about what Tom's are all about, I think you'll find that it is in fact in line with their mission, their vision and their values, and therefore fits my definition of a higher purpose business. Another business that I think fits the same bill is the Body Shop, but for different reasons. From their point of view, what they do is certainly make people feel good and provide them with things, with products that enhance their beauty and enhance their well-being. But they do it from a globally sustainable perspective. They do it from the point of view of making sure that what the products that they're producing are not harming the world. And I think that, again, is an example of a higher purpose business. Another couple of examples, if we look at Sesame Street, one might say they make TV shows, but from their point of view, they hold the attention of children and therefore create the opportunity to educate them cognitively, effectively, and behaviourally. That's a pretty higher purpose. There's a company in Australia called Thank You Water. Now, we don't need any more bottled water here in Australia. In fact, the tap water is pretty damn good. So what are you doing? Are you selling bottled water? Or do you make profits from selling bottled water to directly fund water projects in developing countries? That, to me, is a higher purpose. And even a cleaning company called Clean Event, rather than focusing on cleaning and picking up garbage, for them, it's about assisting people to make the most of their leisure events by enjoying a clean environment. And of course, Virgin comes into the play as well too with their Virgin Unite program, which is a not-for-profit foundation. I'd like to suggest that my business is a higher purpose business as well too, because my focus is on bringing soul to business and business to soul and unlocking the magnificence inside every woman. And not only that, I'm also very focused on bringing my passions and purpose into the business as well, such as the performing arts. Very often people ask me the question, what does quiddity mean? And it's an English word which comes from the Latin quidditas. It's the thing that makes something what it is. It's its essential nature, or the essence, if you like. Literally, it's whatness, it's isness, or what it is. So quiddity business is the isness of business. And therefore, in my mind, quiddity is the equivalent of the higher purpose of business. We're often heard that if you raise your vibration, you'll improve your life. Now, does this mean that we're going to sit down, meditate, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and do nothing more? Well, no. As you may know, energy is in everything, and everything is energy, and therefore everything has a certain vibrational value. There's a fellow called David Hawkins who did 20 years of clinical research to measure all of this, and he came up with a scale of consciousness that goes from 20 through to 1,000. So that's shame at 20 and enlightenment at 1,000. And I won't give you his quote, it's a little bit long, but basically he talks about calibrating your energy and changing your energy to give you a difference in weak and strong attracting. And so if everybody has a base vibration and your experience in life helps you to change and evolve that vibration, if you increase your vibration by even a few points, it can have a major impact on things like your physical well-being, your confidence, and your energy level. Okay, so at this stage you're probably saying, okay, David, how is this relevant to business? Well, it's my observation and my experience that a higher purpose business has a higher vibrational level and is therefore able to achieve much more with far less effort. And there are plenty of studies that will tell you that you need to manage your energy as much as you manage your money, you manage your time, and you manage your staff. There's also some differences between the way men and women approach a higher purpose business as well. Women typically will come in with a more overt examination of purpose and meaning, and I realize I'm generalizing here, but it's inspiring to see that that's what they've actually brought to the world of business. And often they'll start their businesses around their personal values, their families, their causes. And for most men, quite frankly, you can forget about higher purpose because it's its results that count. And that's the nature of the competitive business game that men both created and really enjoy playing. And the commercial model is very competitive, competing for customers, market share, share of wallet, and at some level this means win-lose. Someone else, a competitor, has to lose for us to win. And of course the male orientation is that, well, why would you be focusing on higher purpose when the business isn't making money? And a successful business has to deliver some level of financial return on investment. And that's really important because otherwise the business won't survive. And yet the other side of that coin is that pursuit of the dollar in isolation is soulless. And we've seen the trend, just look at what's happening on social media just to track it, is that consumers are increasingly empowered and increasingly informed, and they want businesses with authenticity and a social conscience. And of course, a business that doesn't have a sound strategic model driving it, that doesn't make some return, won't be around very long. And like most things, of course, it's the balance that's important. And most assume that those two are mutually exclusive. But like yin and yang, black and white, up and down, hot and cold, male and female, they're not actually opposing forces. They're complementary forces that interact to form a greater whole as part of a dynamic system. So having a higher purpose business doesn't exclude commercial outcomes, and it should be a win-win commercial model for you and your clients. And the bonus beyond that is that if you choose to, you can use your profits in some other charitable way based on your values and purpose. So we get a triple win there. Let's take a slight change for a second, and because I'd like to give you a model of business that I think is very, very useful in terms of understanding how business works. Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. I thought that was pretty interesting, and my rationale beyond that was that, well, if everybody is on their own personal stage, then surely every business is on a business stage. And I designed a business stage that has 4 key things surrounding it. We've got the script, the cast, the audience, and the production team. The script is the raison d'etre for the business. Why does it exist? What's it here for? What's its purpose? What's its mission, its vision, its values? What's the culture? What's the business plan? What's the exit strategy? What is the big why? The cast is twofold. It's both the leadership in the business and it's the rest of the ensemble. These are the people who deliver the business to the audience. And the audience is the marketplace. And everybody's in the marketplace. Your customers, your potential customers, your competitors, your collaborators, and all of the potential that's in there. And then the production team is everything that allows the cast to take the business on stage every day. So these are things like your systems and your processes. So it could be your technology, it could be your finance, it could be your infrastructure, it could be production, distribution, all of the things that allow the cast to do their job. And the secret to having a balanced business is to making sure that there's a connection between all of those four things that puts them in the appropriate level of balance. And of course, this will be individual for every single business. And building a higher purpose business is about taking a rough gemstone, enhancing what's there and polishing it into a diamond. So that the end result is, instead of having an opening night flop, which would be the worst, or maybe just a short run, you end up with a business that's an ongoing blockbuster. Now, all of these things are determined by what you think success is. And I've got a bit of a mantra that says that it's your business, so you should be building it to suit you and your goals. I think you're probably seeing a bit of a theme here. Success should be defined by your financial lifestyle, goals and aspirations, rather than what society says they should be. And it's crazy that we let others dictate what it means to be successful to us. That generally means money and material things. But what about health and happiness and peace and love, just for starters? Why don't they get measured more openly when we're evaluating a person's success? So it's about making the business work for you, not you working for it. Making the business successful and having time for your family, your passions, and yourself. So success needs to be sustainable. It needs to be profitable. It needs to be profitable financially, emotionally, and spiritually. It needs to be magic. There is a certain thing about business. It needs to be something that inspires you every single day. And it needs to be magic, not just for you, but for the people that come in touch with your business, be they your staff or be they your customers. And your clients, you want them loving you. And ideally, you want to be in flow. So is your business an extension of your heart and your soul? Does magic happen as a result? Do you love your business? Does everything just flow? Because if there's no passion, no excitement, no heart, it isn't fun or it doesn't get you excited, then it's likely it won't be sustainably successful. At some point, if that's the case, you'll probably say, oh, why didn't I listen to my intuition? Working at your heart's desire at the best you've got to give will often be your greatest source of profitability. Now, if you've got that, fantastic. Congratulations. The benefit, you've got all the benefits of building a business that revolves around you and what you want. But if you're not totally in tune with your business, most everything you try to achieve will likely be a struggle. So, if it's not happening for you right now, how can you get into your flow? Well, I'm going to give you some ideas now. And really, there's just a series of questions that I'd like you to ask yourself. And if you don't manage to get all of these down now, don't worry, you can grab them from the recording. Or shoot me an email and I'll send you this list of questions. A higher purpose comes from your passion. So what is it that you're passionate about? And remember that passion can't be found in your head because it lives in your heart. So, question 1, is my business connected to my lifestyle goals? Am I doing what I truly love or doing what I think I should be doing? There's that word should again. What would you like to do if money were absolutely no object? This question's been asked many times, but really thinking about it is important. How would you really enjoy spending your life? Not spending the rest of your life, spending your life. You've got clues all around you. Look at your books, look at your DVDs, CDs, magazines, and look at what you're spending your money on now. Are there any themes there? What are the subjects that you're already gravitating towards? In other words, where are you already spending your time, your money, and your energy? What are the threads that have been recurring in your life time and time again? Think about the various experiences that you've had. What do you love to talk about, to learn about, or to even teach others? Simply, what makes you smile? What are the activities that make you lose track of time? Because those are the ones where you're in flow. What makes you feel great about yourself? Just a few more. What do people typically ask you for help in? And if you had to teach something, what would you teach? And what would you regret not fully doing, being, or having in your life? These are all the clues to what you're passionate about. What causes do you strongly believe in? What causes do you connect with? Even if you don't support them, what are you connecting with? And because it's in your heart, not in your head, as best as you can, check in with your physicality. What lights you up? Do you feel a sense of expansion in your body? Or maybe there's a voice in your head that's just going, yeah, that's it. Another example of a client of mine is Michelle. Again, another Michelle, coincidentally, from a company called Service Officers International here in Sydney. And Michelle was a slightly different situation because Michelle's business had been running for 10 years, in fact, when we first started working together. But what happened for her is that she'd actually lost her passion for her business. And when we originally started talking, she was wondering what on earth she should be doing with it. And this is a very common issue for many businesses after having been in operation for a few years. SOI is a boutique serviced office and a virtual office business that's here. And Michelle identified that she really needed to revitalize the business, to get some energy back into it and change the way she was managing. She also realized that she was totally burned out. And after 10 years, she really had just lost the passion. So the solution was to reconnect with the reasons why she had originally started the business. And once we'd done that, we set some goals and created a vision which totally aligned to the company values, actually for the first time. We then built systems and processes to support that vision. So that's the production team. And we hired the right people. That's the cast. And the end result for both Michelle and the business was new energy, new goals, confidence in expressing the company's values, and a real conviction in the service and product that they provide to their clients. And in essence, they successfully revitalized the business. There's a fellow I've been listening to a little bit recently called Simon Sinek, and he's actually, I think, a very clever guy. And one of the things that he talks about is this quote here, that people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And that's the passion and the purpose. People no longer care about what you do because there's always somebody else who does what you do. Everything can be reverse engineered. It doesn't matter what the product or what the service, there will always be an imitator out there. But the one thing that can't be reverse engineered, that can't be imitated, is the reason why, is the passion and the purpose that you put behind your business. And the goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. That's the what bit. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe, people who buy into your why. And it's the same with hiring people, not just customers. If you hire people because they can do a job, they'll end up working for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they will give you blood, sweat, and tears in return. Now, monetizing the business model is an important thing, as we said, because without the money, the business is not sustainable. And I've built a whole thing around the business stage. And what I'd like to do right now is to expose to you what I'm doing, both as a demonstration of bringing a higher purpose into a business, but also because it's something that you might possibly have some interest in. And I've created a workshop which is how to ensure your business gives a blockbuster performance, and it is based around the business stage. It will be held in Sydney on the 23rd of May, and we'll see how we go about taking it elsewhere after that. It's a 2-hour workshop, and what I'll be doing is demonstrating in detail the business stage model. What you saw was really just scratching the surface. By learning the model, you'll get a new understanding of how your business works, which will free you up to work on the areas of business weakness that are holding you back. It will also help you to play to your strengths and work in your sweet spot, which is really where you want to be. And so, as I said before, instead of the short-run performances, or worse, the opening night flop, you'll have an ongoing blockbuster playing to packed houses every day. There'll probably be some parts of the business where you might need some support, and learning the business stage model will help you know what support's required, plus when and where you need it. And the way that we're presenting the seminar will show you how you can bring whatever your passion is into your business. And mine happens to be singing and performing. So you'll be seeing me in a way you've never seen me before, most probably. But the purpose of it is helping you to see and retain the information easily. And from that, you'll be able to reignite your inspiration for business. You'll remember why it was you got into business in the first place and fall back in love with your business. You'll be so inspired by it that you can't wait to get up in the morning and go to it. And you'll also experience that business doesn't have to be boring and can be incredibly creative. And the way the workshop will be presented will allow you to remember exactly the business model at a glance. So rather than having a detailed business plan which nobody remembers or even opens, you'll have in your head a picture of business that reminds you exactly of the various elements, the parts that are your genius, the parts that might be weaknesses that you need to upgrade, the ones where you need support, the type of person you'll need to employ to fill a gap so that you don't employ someone who's just like you, and the cycle of business so that you know where you're at. This workshop will accelerate your learning about business, and you'll think about business a completely new way. And along the way, you'll be thoroughly entertained. So you'll be re-inspired, feel passionate and reinvigorated about business again, your business. So tickets for the workshop are normally $125, but I'm putting on a webinar special because I just want to thank you all for coming along and listening to me, and that is $47. But wait, there's more. I'm also offering a 2-for-1 ticket to the workshop if you book within 7 days. So I invite you to bring another person along as your guest, split the cost with them if you want, and come along, 2 people for 1 for $47. And as another special bonus, the first 10 people who register will get a free 90-minute one-to-one session with me to discuss any business issue. So hopefully there's a little bit of motivation for you to move quickly. Now, where do you go? Well, it's quite simple. www.businessstage.eventbrite.com, and that's all the details there, and that's where you can register. So I hope that you can make it on the 23rd of May, and it should be great fun. Now we do have I am planning another webinar in about 3 weeks' time, and what we're going to be doing at that particular webinar is examining at least 2 different ways to identify your soul's purpose and how this relates to your ideal business. And I'll have a special guest along with me to help with the discussion, Lawrence Harrold, who's the author of The 7 Steps to Aligning with Your Soul's Purpose. So a final thought before I open up for questions, and this is by a gentleman called Andrew Cohen. We're all capable of greatness when we know without any doubt that we're directly connected to a higher purpose. And to me, that's very inspiring to think about that. There's definitely change in the air, and we're seeing a rebalancing of masculine and feminine energies in business. And the feminine energy is the intuitive, the creative, the heart-centered approach that brings flexibility and especially flow. Masculine energy is the rational business logic that gives structure to the business, so that you can make money and support yourself while you're doing the thing that you do. And we need both. And of course, all of us inherently have both. We are a combination of masculine and feminine in different proportions. Creating a higher purpose business can help you tap into that. So what I'd like to do now is to open up to questions and see if there's anything that anybody would like to talk about or add to the equation. If you want to put your hand up, if you'd like to speak, just put your hand up and I'll come straight to you. And whoops, I'll just silly me. I'll just go right to the bottom again and just put that link up so that it's still there. Here we Go. It's a quick refresher for you as we scroll through the slides. There we go. Great. So if anybody has anything that they'd like to ask, please do that, or just pop your hand up. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any hands up. Yeah, Isabel, you've got your hand up, so great. Let's come to you. Hi, Isabel.
Can you hear me?
We
Hi,
can indeed.
how are you?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't get what time and where this event is going to be held.
My apologies. I didn't give those details. The timing will be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and it will be held in Sydney, and I don't have a venue sorted out yet. But what I can promise is that it will be central somewhere and within an easy commute, ideally close to public transport. So it might be it'll be somewhere central.
Okay, cool, because I could attend if it was at night time, but not during the day.
Yeah, no, it'll be 6 to 8 on a Thursday night. The 23rd is a Thursday, so you can maybe duck out and go late night shopping afterwards or before. But I thought that would be a pretty good time.
Thank you.
My pleasure, Isabel. Thanks so much. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, we've got nothing. Nobody else has got their hand up. I can't see anything in the question box unless I'm missing it. No, it looks like there's no questions in the question box. So if there's nothing else, then we're going to get an early mark, which is a bit of a bonus, perhaps. Oh, Ruth, my apologies. I didn't see you. Let me come to you. Hello, Ruth. Can you hear us?
Hi. Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Please. What would you like to share?
I would just like to thank you very much for such a lovely webinar today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very gratified. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You're very much, well, I'm very much moving in the same lines as you are, and I have the same opinion, and yeah, I appreciate your take. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Was there one thing in particular that, what was the key takeaway for you, do you think?
I'm quite kinesthetic, so I don't actually remember words. quite interesting. What I did feel, the message that I felt was very much in alignment with me and what I'm doing, and only really in this last week did I write an article that I posted out to my list that included a video from Simon Sinek, which is it's quite interesting that you brought it up as an example. He's great. I just finished his book. Yeah.
Fantastic. I haven't read his book yet. I really should. I've read a few things. I've read a few things that he's written, but not his book, just mostly articles. And so I listened to, of course, there's a wonderful TED video. In fact, he's probably done a couple of TED videos, but if anybody's interested in seeing what he's about, the essence of what he's about, just go and Google that TED video with Simon, and it's about 20 minutes long, but it's well worth watching because it's got lessons not just about what we've been talking about today, but he looks at it from the point of view of managing people as well. So there's much more to it than just that. Fantastic. Ruth, thank you so much for sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Cool.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything or ask a question? I'll give you 30 seconds of on-hold music. Perhaps I won't do the on-hold music. But look, if that's it, that's great. Once again, thank you, everybody. Oh, sorry, there's a question over here in the box which I haven't seen. Sorry, it's not really easy to see this when you're in the presenter view. So bear with me. Any idea on when you'll bring it to Melbourne? Really good question. I have a friend in Melbourne who is very, very keen for me to come down and visit, and she's pushing me to come in the first half of this year. So I'm just going to think about that. The first thing I want to do is to get the Sydney one happening as best as possible. But if I possibly can, I'd like to try and get down there before the end of June. So that would be my plan. So if I can do that, yeah, then ideally. So just need to get lots of people coming to Sydney and then polish it up so that Melbourne gets an even better performance. Thank you. Is there anything else? That question, by the way, was from Anita. Thanks, Anita. I think it was from Anita. No, it was from Felicia, sorry. But Anita, thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. And thank you, Danielle. I'll do what I can. Cool. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so yeah, Michelle will know, that's for sure, Felicia. Cool. And I've just, technology is wonderful. I've just found out how I can see the questions more easily. Just found out how to stretch the question box. Excellent. So I'll know for next time. Thanks. Okay. Look, thanks, guys. I will wrap it up now. Once again, I'm just so appreciative that you came and you shared, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again soon, either face to face or perhaps online. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll leave the screen up for a little while, and I'll leave the webinar open. So just in case you need to duck away and then come back, and the link will be there still. Thanks, guys.